What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ, Bucky, and Baldy. As we get a chance to talk about this incredible weekend of football, man. There were some great games. An unbelievable college game, which we'll hit on tomorrow when Rhett comes back to join the show with Indiana, Ohio State. We'll have some fun with that. But NFL-wise, Baldy, this might be my favorite week of the year in terms of the action we had.
It's unreal. These games went down to the wire. I was in Baltimore. That happened there. We watched Chicago, Green Bay go down the wire, Kansas City, Houston. It was really, and it was, for playoff seeding, to think that Chicago could start the day off as the number one seed in the NFC, lose a game to Green Bay by, just a couple of different plays, maybe
one pass,
and finish the seventh seed right now. It just goes to show you, there's so much more football to be played.
Yeah, it comes at you fast. By the way, Buck, if you're wondering, looking at Baldy's gear here, we've got Baldy Breakdown polo. We've got a Baldy Breakdown hat.
Oh, yeah.
Baldy, this is merch. Where can the folks find it? Where can they find the merch?
They can just go to baldysbreakdowns.com and they can order away. My buddy down in Monroe, Louisiana.
Hey.
Yeah.
We used to call it, when I went to college there, Baldy, we called it Fun Row. Fun Row.
There we go.
That was the spot. Hey, Buck, I've got a list of these games that I want to get to, and there's a list of games I have in order here, but I'm gonna make an executive decision here because I think your Jags might be the most untold story in the NFL right now. I think people will be surprised to look up and see where they are. They've kind of sneakily just kind of worked their way all the way up to the top of that division and to the point where they're still alive for the number one seed. That's where they are right now.
Yeah, I have to tell you, DJ, it's one of the more remarkable things to watch and witness, like a team kind of getting better in your own eyes. Like I say this coaching high school ball, you see players develop, you see the team come and you see the connectivity. But man, the job that Liam Cohen has done in terms of rebuilding the frayed relationships that existed prior to his arrival, in terms of some of the lack of confidence, some of the distrust that players may have had with the previous coaching staff or whatever, navigating that, dealing with a quarterback that was trying to find his way, fourth different system, trying to figure out who's who and what's what, and then getting the team to understand what it's like to go from being a pretender to a contender to a good team to what a great team understands. And you guys have been around playoff teams. You kind of know there's a way that you go about doing business. The Jaguars have embraced the way that you have to operate at a high level when you expect to win. They're beginning to show all of those things, and it's a very mature approach that you take to winning these games, and they're really beginning to do it, and you're seeing it play off on the field, off the field, everything. It's just fun to watch.
Bucky, it's I went up to Jacksonville during OTAs or what mini camp, whatever. And I called Baselli up and I'm coming, I'm driving up. Let me spend the day. So because it does start at the top, Bucky. There is real leadership with Baselli, Gladstone, Liam, Campanile. I feel for the first time they're actually in alignment. How they, to go get Jacoby Myers at the trade deadline, whatever it is, rebuilding the offensive line, getting Robert Hainsey in at center. There just seems to be certain things that everybody in that organization is really aligned with right now.
I think that alignment word is the buzzword, and I think that's right on. That was a game, by the way, they handled Indy. Indy unfortunately loses Daniel Jones, but Jacksonville wins 36-19. But along those alignment things, to me, okay, let's say from an ownership level, I want to have a physical team. Well, let's start by putting Tony Baselli, maybe one of the most physical offensive tackles that's ever walked the face of the earth, in the leadership position. Let's go get a general manager from the Rams, who have been one of the most physical teams over the last handful of years. And then let's go get a head coach from Tampa. With the teams I saw last year in person, I said it at the time, was the most physical team that I saw the Chargers play last year. So, Buck, they've lined it up. You want to have a physical team, a team that can take off during this time of the year? They've kind of put all their ducks in a row here.
Yeah, they have put all the ducks in a row. And I think the alignment is everything. And you guys know, man, to be a championship team, the entire building has to be aligned. From top to bottom, you have to have the same vision. You got to speak the same language. Everyone has to believe in the same things that get you to the next level. And then it's about putting the team together and figuring out what you have and how to maximize what you have. We all talk about the season starts out, the first half of the season is figuring out who you are and what you need to be. And then the last half of the year is being that team that you need to be based on what you have. And what you've seen, because we'll talk about Trevor Lawrence, and I believe this was the best game that I've seen him play. Having been around the team for 5 years since the beginning of his career, this was the best game that I've seen him play from top to bottom. And it is about the coach freeing him and saying, hey, man, let it rip. Like, don't worry about mistakes. Let it go. Let the ball go. Trust what you see, and we'll live with the consequences. And then it's taking the pieces, because you need someone over the middle, so you go and get Jacoby Myers. You need a big body presence, so you have Tim Patrick come over. And then you go and get Brian Thomas Jr., who's the vertical threat. And in this game, everybody played their role without making it a bunch of individual things. It just all flowed. And a lot of that is due to the quarterback letting it go.
DJ, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Look up Devin Lloyd when he came out of Utah.
Yep.
Some of the things, I know he was kind of an outside guy and inside guy. He had good pass rush ability at Utah, but he has 5 interceptions from the Mike linebacker spot. Big one yesterday, right, Bucky?
Yeah.
Like, not everybody can play Mike linebacker and get yourself 5 interceptions. I mean, it's been a big part of this whole turnaround, Bucky, is just the takeaways that they're getting.
Yeah, I've got it. I'll pull it up right here. Devin Lloyd was my 13th overall player.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Lloyd's a tall, rangy linebacker with exemplary versatility and production. Split time between lining up on the edge and inside linebacker. Against the pass, he can run and mirror tight ends all over the field. He's very instinctive as a zone dropper, able to anticipate, drive, and make plays on the ball. His ball skills are special for a linebacker. See the pick 6 against Stanford. Lloyd is an effective blitzer off the edge, displaying a burst of close and wreak havoc in the backfield against the run, plays downhill, uses length to play off blocks, collect tackles. Great lateral range, does have some stiffness and space, but he's a reliable linebacker. I love Lloyd's play speed, passion, and aggression. He has Pro Bowl potential.
There you go. Man, you got that like spot on. That's who he is this year, completely.
Yeah, the cover ability is it's Buck. We've said this as we've kind of towards the end of our scouting years, going back over a decade, it got to the point where when you're evaluating linebackers, like, if you can't cover, I can't put you on the field, man. Like, I love all the other stuff, but if you can't cover, I can't hide you.
And here's the thing, because there was some frustration in the building about Devin Lloyd being a first-round pick and not really delivering what many expect a first-round pick to deliver. So you decline the 5th-year option because the numbers suggest that he hadn't been playing at that level, even though you're in silos saying, guys, I don't know if he's ever been used properly. Like, he hasn't been utilized the way that he was utilized at Utah, where he was a jack of all trades. He moved around. He did everything. And in this system, Anthony Campanelli from day one has put him at Mike linebacker, has allowed him to really be all the things that he could be inside, getting down the field, chasing, playing with instincts and all that. And DJ, your report reads to a T in terms of what we've seen from him this year. Now, the problem is he's played so well, you got a decision to make at the end of the year. How do you find a way to pay him to keep him? But he is the ultimate playmaker, and his ability to turn the ball over has really been a key for this team and this defense.
Yeah, there you go. See, we got Houston, KC, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Chicago, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and we can't say we play favorites here because we led with the little Jags.
Yeah,
because the Jags are cooking. Let's get to the Houston KC game, Baldy. It wasn't a funeral; they're still alive. KC's still alive, but they are clinging to their last breath here.
They are, and we left last week talking about how Houston just chokes you out. Like they just don't give you anything. The way that they rule the middle of the field, everybody tackles. You watch Lassiter make the play on Thornton in the end zone. It's a touchdown. It's a perfect throw. They're going to go up 14-10. Lassiter gets the ball out. Jalen Petrie's back. He's blown up Rashee Rice in the middle of the field. They stop him on 2 big 4th downs. I mean, it's a 10-10 game in the 4th quarter. And Andy, who's been unbelievable on 4th downs this year, they led the league in 4th down conversions going into yesterday. They had converted 20 out of 26, and they got a 4th and 2 at their – I mean, I don't know when this all flipped, DJ and Bucky, like when, okay, we're going to go for it at the 30-yard line in the 4th quarter at a 10-10 tie. But it's – remember when Belichick did that? When he was
he got crucified against Indy.
He never stopped hearing about it.
Yeah.
Like now it's, nobody even second-guessed Andy at the 30-yard line. But it gave Houston, the short field, they scored the touchdown. Give them credit. But Houston's defense is going to – like I wrote it down here. They're 7-0 when they score 20 points or more. Like they are not giving you 20. It doesn't matter who they play against right now. They're just that good. Will Anderson, Daniil, the whole group right now. So I felt like the fourth downs really flipped that game, and they had some opportunities.
Now we're gonna say this, and we'll talk about this because it comes up a few other times, like guys going for it. And I know in the league there's been kind of the turn where everyone is super aggressive on fourth down. I said it when Andy Reid was thinking about going for it. I was like, man, read the room. It is so hard to score points on Houston. Like, you're going to give them points right here. It's a 10-10 game. Like, there's no need to get out of pocket. And I think sometimes he sees 15, and we understand what the Chiefs used to be. They're not that team anymore. And they had fought like the Dickens to be in that position to be tied up against a really good football team. And I think that took a lot of the wind out of their sails. And I never thought that they would be able to recover from that because I couldn't figure out how they were going to score a touchdown against the Texans.
Fuck, they couldn't block Chris Jones all night. Like, he literally ruined the offense of Houston. It didn't matter if you lined up on Ursery or Ingram or Trent Brown. I mean, he beat every single lineman or every double team from the start to the finish. It was the best game I've seen him play in a long time.
Yeah, I was going through his stuff this morning, Baldy, and I was watching he had 8 pressures. His wrist control is like, to me, better than anybody I can ever remember. His ability to hit a hand as it's punching and just control your like, you can't get to him. No, and a lot of times, like I saw with Joey Bosa, it was a swipe, right? Yeah. He will physically grab your hand and lift it, and you can't get to him. So I saw that. I saw quick arm overs. I mean, these wins were early. When you get wins early inside, that is a nightmare. Crossing guys' faces. I mean, it was impressive. I'll get to my last thought on him in just a second, but I want to flip over to Will Anderson because I want to watch his pass rush stuff too. I wrote down Mariano Rivera. It is the same pitch every single time. He is lined up wide with the runway, and he is going to pry your shoulder open. You always talk about in coaching, and scouting, like, hey, can you work half a man? Can you get through him? Can you pry that shoulder open? Baldy, he does that as well as anybody, man.
No. It's consistent. It's consistent. And his takeoff, like, that guy is jacked up and ready to play every play. And didn't they trade up to get him? They traded back.
Because that was they took Stroud, came right back up hit.
I just remember in the whole scouting process when he was coming out, like, not many guys come into Tuscaloosa as an 18-year-old for Nick and start day one. Like, he was a man day one in Tuscaloosa. Like, and it has just continued. He does everything the right way. Leverage, hands, power, effort. Like, he's just an incredible force out there. And he probably, as many good players as they have on defense, he probably is the captain of that ship right now.
Last thing, we'll wrap up and we'll move on this one. But the sign of a kind of a generational player in terms of what Alabama's had. Think about all the great players. But every year I talk to guys there and want to ask about players. And it cracks me up because every time it's, hey, Booker, he was like the offensive Will Anderson. Like, he was the leader. He was like then you talked about a defense player. Good player. I mean, not a Will Anderson in terms of a work ethic. And then the next player you ask about, you're like, oh, man, he's not quite as strong as Will. Will Anderson's the guy that's on the front of their mind. He has been there in several years. Like, they're still talking about him down there.
Yeah, he's the number one comp, huh?
Gosh. He's the measuring stick. He's the measuring stick for everybody. And then, so the last thing I wanted to ask you, Buck, I'll hit you on this and Baldy follow. If this is, because as I'm watching this game, I'm thinking about it. Chris Jones played really, really well. And to be honest with you, as many wins as he had, 3 or 4 years ago, Chris Jones, I think, would have had a 4-sack game where he couldn't just quite finish it. Just didn't have quite that little bit to finish it. But I'm sitting here going, if this is the Chiefs kind of coming down the mountain a little bit, that is one of their real assets to me, that if you were going to try and infuse some draft picks and some youth into this thing, that's a chip for them. Because I don't, if they have to retool this thing, I don't know that Chris Jones is going to be part of that next run for Kansas City in 3 years or 2 years, however long it takes to kind of rebuild this thing, Buck. But I think you have a heck of an asset, which teams right there at the top would pay handsomely for.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think this is the first time that the Kansas City Chiefs have to think about those kinds of decisions. Like I know they made the move with Tyreek Hill. Part of that was not wanting to pay him, but I think we're seeing, okay, this is the end of this iteration of the Chiefs. And Chris Jones is the asset that we can move off of to maybe help us get back. Maybe it's a short dip and then we come right back. He's still terrific. He's still impactful. He's still disruptive at the point of attack. But as an older player, he can't do it to the same consistency that he used to be able to do it. And it might be time to move off of him because he could offer a team that's a contender that immediate thing that they need to get over the top. Very much like Ndamukong Suh at the end of his run, to kind of be a hired gun. I think that's where Chris Jones is going to be at this stage. But for the Chiefs, they need that long-term thing so they can figure out how to build this around Patrick Mahomes and whatever pieces of the puzzle they can keep in place to allow them to get back on top.
Oh, by the way, before we leave this game, Stroud played well. And if Stroud, to me, this is very reminiscent of those 49ers Super Bowl teams, with those dominant defenses. And think about, remember, go back to Jimmy Baldy. Remember, Jimmy hits, it was Emmanuel Sanders on the post. They win he's wide to hit. You got to hit him. Like Stroud, to me, doesn't need to score 30 points. He's got to make those 2 or 3 throws that present themselves.
So the throw at 10-10 to Nico Collins, I put it out there this morning, but I'm like, not that I'm comparing him to Mahomes. CJ's his own guy, but it was so Mahomes-like. Mm-hmm. Like he's being chased. He's got Karlaftis. He's got Tranquil. They're all coming after him. And he's rolling to his right. And Nico does a great job of coming back to the ball because it's just thrown in the middle of the field. It's just hanging out there. But he gets enough on it. That turns into a 53-yard play. They score, a few plays later. It was that explosive play that they needed. And not to turn the ball over. That's what happened, obviously, in the playoff losses. He was under duress. The offensive line failed. The protection was bad. But yesterday, like Spags heated him up quite a few times, but he did not turn the ball over. They punted a whole bunch, but they didn't turn the ball over, and that was a big key to the game.
Yeah, that's a team again. I don't think anybody wants us to have anything to do with Houston the way they're rolling right now. Cincinnati-Buffalo, another incredibly entertaining game in the snow. Buffalo came back in this game. They won a shootout, 39-34. Pretty incredible how Burrow has made Cincinnati so competitive with the best teams in the league as soon as he showed back up with what he can do. Couple takeaways for me, and then I'll get it to you guys. The tight ends for Buffalo were big. Knox 6 for 93, Kincaid 4 for 41. In the absence of big-time elite weapons on the outside, I think that offense has got to work inside out, and I think you're seeing that in big games. But to me, the other thing is just Josh's legs. Let me put this in perspective for you guys. In the last 3 years, so this year and the last 2, Josh Allen has 39 rushing touchdowns. 39. Lamar Jackson, in that period of time, has 11. He's got 28 more rushing touchdowns than Lamar Jackson over the last 3 years. That just blew my mind, Baldy, of what this dude has done.
Well, when he busted that 40-yard touchdown up the middle, against the blitz like that, like nobody was – I mean, it was man coverage. It was a blitz zero, the whole thing. But, I mean, he got to that end zone in a hurry. Like, he has another gear when that ball is in his hands. And the only thing I kind of feared after he scored was I didn't know if that ball was going to go right through the stadium wall the way he threw it. I thought it might puncture a hole in there. But he threw that first touchdown he threw to Shakir. He could have thrown that ball through a car wash. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have gotten wet. Like it was fourth down. It was do or die. It was like if it's intercepted, it's intercepted because he went through 4 different sets of hands. And I think Demetrius Knight's on coverage, on Shakir in the end zone right there. It goes right by his earlobe. He can still put the highlights together as well as anybody in this business.
Look, man, I just have always thought that he was a version of Cam Newton with the stuff that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane wanted in terms of he gave them that physical presence that is really, really tough to deal with in the red zone. And the thing about Josh Allen that we've talked about is when I went to see him at the Potato Bowl when Boise played Western Michigan and he was inaccurate and he was playing with a bunch of nondescript players, I never could imagine that this dude would be arguably the best quarterback in the league given what he displayed then. But I would say it's not only the skills that he brings, I would say it's the maturation that he has displayed, where he's gone from being the playmaker that is wild and reckless to being the guy that knows when to put the cape on when the game is hanging in the balance. And because he's able to do that, he knows how to protect himself and preserve himself for these moments. The only way the Buffalo Bills can make a deep postseason run is if he does these superhero things each and every week going forward. But I wouldn't bet against him being able to do it, which is why you kind of put an asterisk by the Bills, because as number 17 goes, this team is going to go when it comes to the postseason.
Well, when they've had better players on the perimeter, he hasn't had to do that, and he's shown the maturity to not, even try to do that. And we said it earlier this year. There were times where I thought he was preserving himself a little bit, knowing like, okay, I can't do this all the time, but when it's needed, I need to do it. Well, he found himself in a shootout with Joe Burrow, and so he had to crank it up a little bit on this one. To me, Baldy, if they hit on all these draft picks around him, which they haven't really done on the perimeter, then I don't think he'd have to be this Superman. And in some ways, it might end up shortening his career a little bit. I hope they can add some better pieces in the future so that he doesn't have to dial this up to 11 like this. But he's got it for sure. He's got it if you need it. I'd like to see them build a roster where he doesn't necessarily have to do that quite so much.
Jackson Hall has bailed him out at the goal line there yesterday. That guy can block, man. He's catching some touchdowns. The tight ends really helped them. It's a tight end-based offense. I saw a couple guys, though, defensively, though, DJ. They drafted guys in the middle round. That was I don't know. I just thought it was a great defensive line draft. But T.J. Sanders, Dayon Walker, these guys are Max Harrison. The defensive guys are contributing. I know Burrow put up a big number in Cincinnati, but they didn't run the ball very well against that front. I thought the big guys up front, I thought they're a little limited in what you can do with Sanders and Walker, but for what they're asking them to do, I thought they played pretty well in there. They need them. They need those guys, to step up. Daquan Jones is still around somehow in this business. It's, a bunch of guys in the middle that are still kind of plugging things away to help that defense out right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see them in the playoffs, and if they don't end up winning the division, if New England holds on, golly, congratulations, you get a home playoff game. Oh, who's coming in here? Oh, Josh Allen in the first round is rolling in here. I don't think anybody would be too excited about seeing those guys come to town. All right, Buck, start us off on this one. Chicago, Green Bay, heck of a game. Green Bay, they get the interception at the very end of this game to preserve the win. They win 28-21, a game that was incredibly entertaining and finished off with maybe the fastest post-game handshake between head coaches that I've seen in quite some time.
Well, look, man, when Ben Johnson called out when he called him out at the introductory press conference, he poured kerosene on a rivalry that was already fully inflamed. And in doing that, having played in that rivalry, I can tell you it's as intense as it is. It would probably be on par with the Ravens-Steelers rivalry that we also saw take place. But to me, man, this was a great game on both sides. And I will say, and I'm going to take the Packers side on this, the Green Bay Packers needed to dispatch the Bears in this fashion to reestablish that they're the team to beat in the NFC North. This was a game where the Bears were coming off a great win on Black Friday, a physical win where they ran the ball all up and down the Eagles. For the Green Bay Packers to step up and to contain the running game and deal with all the things that Ben Johnson can do, a very creative and physical run game, that speaks volumes to their defense. But offensively, they got back to who they are in the passing game. Welcome back, Jaden Reed. Welcome back, Christian Watson. This is the offense that we expected to see. Them throwing slants and intermediate stuff to those guys while running the football with Josh Jacobs. If the Packers stick to the script, this is the team that can be the title team in Title Town.
Jordan Love throws 3 touchdown passes in the span of 12 plays. 12 plays, 3 perfect touchdown passes. Now, Brisker misses the 1 touchdown to Watson in the end zone by literally a fingernail. Like that, he's right there. He sees the ball. He's half field safety, makes a break. They're splitting the post right there. And it's the difference between winning and losing. It's just that close. And that's what the game was. A couple of things, DJ. One was Anthony Belton has played really good at guard. Yep. They had a big weakness there. Once Jenkins went down and they were trying to figure out the center position with Ryan, they had a real hole at guard. And I felt like Anthony Belton these last 2 weeks has played really, really well. First of all, the kid's got great balance. And I don't know, when coming out of North Carolina State, if you thought he was a tackle guard. But him and Zach Tom on the right side, I thought played really well, really controlled the line of scrimmage, number one. Number two, is there a more difficult guy to tackle in this league than Kyle Monangai? Like, nobody can tackle that guy. It's unbelievable. Like, and that's why they give it to him on the goal line in short yardage. They're giving the ball to him because they can't tackle that guy. That's one. But the last play, the interception that you talked about, Keyshawn makes a good play, but they basically ran that same play against the Eagles last week.
Yep.
Cole Kmet. They hit it to Cole Kmet last week. And I thought it was a 4th and 1 play. I thought it's the same action, same play action, half boot, roll to the left. And I thought Caleb just stayed on DeAndre Swift too long, DJ.
Mm-hmm. He was late.
Instead of maybe if he looked deep first, he would have seen Cole Kmet break first. And maybe we're not even talking about, Green Bay and what they needed to do. Like maybe Chicago wins that one, or at least, send it in overtime right now.
Yeah, on that play specifically, I think he's the only thing he couldn't do was be in the middle, because if he's on time, if he sees it, gets off it, sees it, he gets Kmet for the touchdown. If he's buys a little bit more time, seeing that I'm too late on that, and waits for DJ Moore, who's coming from the backside, he could literally just option flip it to him, and he's probably going to get into the end zone there. But I mean, Green Bay was ready for it. They were in a pretty good spot there. They covered up the flat, took away the layup, and then he's a little bit late. So I thought it was an incredible game. I'm going back through some of the stuff that I watched. Micah Parsons in this game had 7 pressures. But I want to hit you on this, Baldy, just to see what you think from an offensive line perspective, because the things that stood out to me, you can line him up on the edge and you can see, he'll win out there. You'll see him cross face coming inside. They use him as a looper at times when he was effective. Yeah. But to me, using him, I've always, and people will call it different things, and people call it like a joker or a walk around rusher. Yeah. To me, when he's just milling around and walking around, and I don't know where he's going to insert into the rush, that to me as a quarterback was a nightmare, because you can chip him, you can slide protection. When you don't know where he's coming from, and you're going to end up, what they end up doing a lot of times, they end up fanning out your protection, and now you've got a guard with a 3-way go, and that 4-3 whatever he ran, Micah Parsons coming at you. Like, have fun with that.
He literally is he's the kryptonite for Caleb. He's the one guy.
He beat him to the corner. That's the first time I've seen anybody beat Caleb. Caleb was getting ready. He had to pause. He's like, oh my gosh, the
only guy that he can't turn the corner on. And how many you could talk about? I mean, how many throwaways did he have because of Micah chasing him? He had at least 3 or 4, and a couple of them were on 3rd down. And so you look in the stat page, and Micah Parsons has a tackle. Yeah. But he affected the game so many different ways. And I agree with you. Like, when he's just on the edge, there's just too many things you can do to him. You can set your protection, you can chip, you can do all the basic things. But when he's in the middle and he gets to kind of free reign where he wants to go, I always say he's like water. He's just going to he's just going to get through everything. He's just going to be that leak, and he's going to get through the soup and everything else in the middle. And then once that quarterback is running the way Caleb likes to, like, he's just going to flatten you to the sideline where you're going to have very little option to be able to make any kind of a throw.
I want to piggyback the last thing on Micah Parsons going there. To me, it just kind of speaks to the high standards that were already established when he walked in the building in Green Bay. How he's not only met those standards and kind of welcome and embrace maybe the structure that they have in place, but Jeff Hafley, I don't think it's easy sometimes taking a great player and in the middle of the season trying to figure out what to do with him. He's done a really good job of putting him in optimal situations to impact the game the most without compromising the rest of the defense. Man, this team is playing their best ball heading down the stretch, and there's so much meat left on the bone on offense and defense that they can get to.
Do you guys remember when Rocky Long was the head coach at New Mexico? And remember they called the Lobo position, Urlacher played it. And they put Urlacher 8 yards. So you had the level of the linebackers, and all of a sudden it looked like the top of this Bucky would call it like the top of the Christmas tree with a linebacker 8 yards. And he would just see everything and just shoot gaps and get to either alley. I'm like, oh my gosh, Rocky Long must watch. I hope Rocky Long's, I don't know where he is now.
He's still around.
He's still around. I hope he's watching Micah Parsons and going, man, I would have loved to have thrown that guy at the Lobo position in Albuquerque.
Because it's what you're talking about. It's the old 3-3-5 defense that they used to run in New Mexico. Brian Urlacher was the low one. He would just have free reign. And in an odd front where you can move and do all this movement like Pittsburgh has done for years, like you're just able to create these things. And I'm going to say this, man, Micah Parsons is a freak of nature when it comes to being able to rush the passer, blitz, impact, just the athleticism, the explosiveness. He's a problem, and he is the ultimate eraser to an athletic quarterback like Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch. I'm just sitting there thinking, man, it's got to be fun with a game plan every week to have an athlete like that at your disposal to figure out what you want to do with them. Baldy, you were at my favorite rivalry in the NFL. Buck mentioned it. Pittsburgh-Baltimore. Pittsburgh goes on the road, huge win, and Baltimore, all of a sudden you look up, they are collapsing down the home stretch here. They lose 27-22. What was your takeaway from this one?
Well, I thought that Aaron and the offense got aggressive from the first play. First play, they hit DK on a 52-yard go route against Marlon Humphrey. It's a perfect throw by Aaron. It's a throw that he'll still make 10 years from now when he's playing, pickup someplace, in El Chino, California, wherever he's at. But, I mean, it's a perfect throw. Good play action fake to get the free safety. Alohi Gilman just to kind of freeze there. He can't get over the top. And but he hit that throw 3 times in the game. And they scored in all those throws. So he hit Calvin Austin on one. He hit DK another time. He hit DK on a scramble drill across the middle. And you for the first time in a while now, DK was a big part of that offense. And so that was good. And that kind of set the table for what the Steelers were doing. They hit a play to Jalen Warren for a touchdown. I mean, I don't know what Baltimore's doing. They didn't cover the tight end. They didn't cover Warren. And it was just an easy swing route to Warren. He went in for a touchdown, the final touchdown of the day. I thought, Baltimore had some chances. DJ, I don't know. I don't know what a touchdown is anymore. I think Isaiah Likely has a touchdown.
Bizarre. Yeah.
I'm looking at it, and I'm going, I don't know if it's an end zone. Isn't that the same thing as a field of play? He's got the control of the ball.
2 feet.
And the third step didn't get down. Joey Porter punches at it. But, is that what I don't know. It looked like a winning touchdown.
Use common sense. Use common sense in the eye test. I mean, come on.
Yes, the eye test. So you look at that and you go, and Likely's doing everything he possibly can to show possession of the ball. He's squeezing it. He's showing the whole world, I got the ball in my hands. I don't know. I felt like, there was a couple calls in that game. You don't want it to come down to calls. Travis Jones, gets called for, hitting the center on a field goal. Pittsburgh kicks the field goal. It's a 3-point play, and then they get the first down. They end up scoring. So it becomes a 4-point play. And I'm watching Travis Jones. He's rushing the A-gap. He's not going over the center, but he's in the A-gap. Are you not allowed to touch the center at all on some of these plays? He's just getting pushed into it. So I felt like there's a couple of calls that went against him. Harbaugh was livid, but, Pittsburgh, they did enough defense. So I thought James Pierre played really well on the corner, made a couple big plays, got the interception on Lamar on a really nice play by him. I thought he played really well opposite, Joey Porter at corner.
Cam Hayward 8 pressures in this game, and he moves up and down the line. 3 tech, they'll use him as a 4-eye on the inside of the tackle. He's not anywhere near as quick as he was when he was younger as a player, but he's got so much dang power that the lack of twitch that he had a few years back doesn't really matter. And the last play of the game, the biggest play of the game, they finished him off was a little pick stunt, and he just kind of comes off a pick stunt and ends up closing. He pops in Lamar's vision, so then Lamar, tries to get out of there, and then Highsmith catches him from behind. But it's kind of made by Cam Hayward. I mean, he's another one. You go back and look at that draft. He was in that draft with all those guys, all those Hall of Famers.
That's 2011.
Yeah. It's one of the best drafts of all time, and I feel like because of that, because of playing with T.J. Watt and playing with some of the other guys he's played with, that I don't know that we realize how good of a player this guy's been. He's 36 years old. He's been doing this a long time, man.
The thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers that continues to amaze me with Mike Tomlin and all these old guys is whenever you're ready to pour dirt on them, they find a way to just kind of come back. And it wasn't a pretty performance, but, I mean, man, look, the Steelers looked as bad as I've seen in the last few weeks. I mean, they look terrible. Mike Tomlin looked like he couldn't get him going. Aaron Rodgers didn't look great. He was hurt. And then they come back and they dust one off. Now, can they keep it up? I don't know. I think it still is going to come down to that last game when the Steelers and the Ravens played the rematch. But I don't know. It's always just kind of funny when they're backed into the corner. They always kind of turn back the clock and bring back a vintage performance.
It reminds me of open gym, Buck, where you go to open gym and you got the two old guys and they're like, okay, well, hey, we're making the teams. We got to give them a couple of these high school, college kids so they have a little more athleticism. And then they lose. And then all of a sudden you see a couple other old guys walk in with the calf high socks on and like, hey, get these young guys out of here. Come over here, guys. You 45-year-olds, come play with us. And then they just run the court against all the younger guys in the gym. Like that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers like. Hey, Roman Wilson and 4'3" athletic. Yeah, we're good. Adam Thielen, come get over here. Come on over here. Let's get you in here. Get you in the mix. Like they got young and they didn't like it, Baldy. They were like, no, we got to go back to the vets.
The guy this is 4 weeks in a row now. Well, Lamar doesn't look, and I know he's had ankle, he's had knee. He's not limping or anything out there.
He's got no juice.
He does not have those splash run plays on scrambles right now. They're just not there now. Whether that's just, 8 years now of just getting beat up and hit and everything else, but he does not have that ability, at least over the last month. Yesterday, Pittsburgh did a good job of containing him, ran for a couple of first downs, but nothing like where we've seen him just run by people. Like he's not doing that right now. Well, and I don't know that we're going to see that, from Lamar again.
Well, I was going to say, when was the last time we really saw that? Like we haven't seen him be the explosive thing. And the one thing about Lamar that's different than Josh Allen's size enables him to play a different way. Yeah, like he can still kind of grind it and do it or whatever. But one of the things that we've talked about, look, year 8 is great. Normally with these dynamic athletes at quarterback, year 10 is when it's kind of done. And I'm not saying that it's done for Lamar, but like let's just talk about like from Michael Vick to Cam Newton or whatever, year 10 is kind of the line. Mm-hmm. And if their games don't develop otherwise, where they become very efficient pocket passers, where they're able to use other tools, then it becomes very, very hard for them to maneuver in this league. And I'm not saying that Lamar is done, but I am just saying he has to transition to being another player if he doesn't have that.
There's a play at the end of the game where Lamar steps up in the pocket and he's throwing to DeAndre Hopkins in the back of the end zone. And Mark Andrews is on a crosser and he thinks the ball is to him. And, Joey Porter's on him and the ball gets deflected or whatever. But, I mean, you could see DeAndre Hopkins just sitting there, just waiting on the touchdown, which is going to give him the lead at that point, 28-27. And Lamar, you can see Lamar go, no. Like, I've got to throw. CBS really didn't show any kind of a replay of that reaction right there. But just watching on tape this morning, like Lamar, I thought he had, at least the winning touchdown, whether it was or the go-ahead touchdown, whether it was going to be the winner or not, I don't know. But he had him right in his periscope.
I want to get to one last game, and then we'll let Baldy get out of here. Appreciate you doing this every week, Baldy. We've got Tennessee, Cleveland. You say, why are we talking about this game? Because we got two rookie quarterbacks out there. Cam Ward gets the win, a big win for Tennessee. Shedeur did some really nice things on the other side, and is, to me, going to lead to one of the more interesting discussions, which is everybody's talking about, well, they need to let him start for the remainder of the season. I'm like, of course. Who's saying that they shouldn't? I'm sure that decision was made a week ago. Like, let's give him the runway to see what he can do. Did some really nice things. So to me, absolutely give him the rest of this year, see what you have. But when you look at them with Cleveland and with what Tyler Shuck has done in New Orleans, and you marry that up with a quarterback class that doesn't look as exciting as maybe it would have before the season started, I think you're going to see some of these young guys get more than just this year, Baldy. I think you're going to see these guys get it next year as well.
Well, it's pretty interesting because, like, Shedeur had 44 pass attempts. I thought he played very well. When it's time to move, he moves. But when it's time to just sit there and make the throw to Harold Bannon in the end zone, he did. I don't really understand taking him off the field for the 2-point try. Like, maybe that play looked good on Friday in practice. Didn't look like the kid just took him down the field twice in the fourth quarter from down 31-17. He's got him right there on the door. Like, give him a chance to at least hit the 2-point try. But I thought, if Cam Ward is the number one pick and nobody argued that. And Shador's the 5th round pick. You couldn't, if you didn't know who either one of those guys were, and you just watched him, you'd say Shador is just every bit as good as Cam Ward. Maybe he doesn't have the torque on the ball that Cam can deliver, but that touchdown to Jerry Jeudy was a laser, and it was in stride. It was, you can't throw it any better than that, and that's through a snowstorm and a blizzard. I thought Shador played really well. The offensive line around him been very good. Both kids are throwing to nothing but rookies. Like it's an all rookie class, Tennessee and Cleveland. So I thought it was a pretty good game just to go watch those two players for just comp and just go, is one really the first pick in the draft, and is one really the 5th round pick in this draft?
I think what it did is, like, for me, it helped me make sure that my odds are still okay. Like, I can't remember where DJ had Shador in the final thing. I know he didn't have him at 144.
He was at 20. So Cam Ward was 8. Cam Ward was 8 for me, and Shador Sanders was 20. So it wasn't 5 rounds where the difference for me was 12 picks.
Right. And so that's the thing, because, like, the eye, even in looking at Shador at Colorado and watching him at Cleveland, I'm like, oh, okay, like, I can see all the flaws, but still, this is a guy that rates in that range where we talked about most of the time. First round, top 6, whatever you wanted to, he was in that. What we had a chance to see is him play, and you saw the good and the bad, but the good is good because he can throw it on time. He can deliver. He does move around well enough to escape. The biggest issue that he's always had is drifting. When he drifts and takes bad sacks and those things, and he's done a better job of cleaning that up. The Browns have to make the decision when they're looking at Shador. Is Shador versus Mendoza, Shador versus people in that next class, to see if you want to run it back next year to then go Shador versus 2027. Because I think that has to be the conversation, because we've talked about this next class coming up being, if I am the Browns, they might be better served to build up the other parts of the roster before you attack the quarterback position.
If they draft as well next year as they did this year, they're ready to roll. And I saw a stat that blew me away that was floating on social media. I haven't had a chance to check it. By the way, Gavin said in the chat that Stefanski made it official. Shador is going to be the quarterback for the rest of the season. That's seemed obvious, that they had to do that. But in the last 40 years, 40 years that the Cleveland Browns have 5 winning seasons, and they've been to the playoffs 3 times in 40 years. I mean, I was only there for 2, and I had 1 winning season. I feel like my batting average is way above average there in my 2 years in Cleveland. But goodness gracious, that takes a lot to get that turned around, Baldy. But I'm telling you, with all the ammunition they have with draft picks, if Shador can hit, and it looks like he is right now, and you can use those draft picks to move around the board, or maybe trade some for veteran guys and continue to draft good players, like, it's going to be an exciting team that could put that number in the rearview mirror and start having some winning seasons.
I mean, Jeffrey Simmons is all over him a number of times in that game in the pocket.
10 pressures.
He does not flinch. He does not flinch when guys are around him. Like, he stands tall in the pocket. His feet are calm. Like, there's so many good things to like about what we saw yesterday. I mean, you just look at some of the guys that are coming after him, Martin Key, whatever. Like, when it's time to spin out, I agree with you, Buck. He probably does drift too frequently. He's trying to make every play a good play. He could do that at Colorado. You're not going to do that in the NFL. But at the same time, he got out of harm's way a bunch and made some good throws, extending plays. Those aren't good conditions to throw the ball in, but it didn't seem like it bothered him at all.
Nope. And Buck, the last thing as we wrap this thing up, we talked about this with Ben Johnson's comments, before this last game. I know they didn't win. And we talked about it with Jim Harbaugh and when he went to Stanford, like, to turn around a perennial loser, you need a cockiness. You need a brashness. You need someone to say that, no, this, I know what's going on here before. That's not me. And that's Shador. Signetti was the other one we talked about like that, who came in and said, I don't care about Indiana history. Like, I don't lose. This is who I am. And I feel like that's Shador's kind of, to be honest with you, it's kind of exactly what they needed from that standpoint.
I mean, he has certainly given him that delusional confidence. I thought what was interesting was Jeffrey Simmons' comments about Shador afterwards, and when they engaged in the back and forth and the conversation and trash talk and all that other stuff, and just how he didn't flinch and how he gave it just like he was getting it. to me, it's all interesting, and I don't know where the Browns are going after the season as it relates to like their composition, the coaching staff, and all this other stuff. But it is shocking to me that you tell me that this team, 5 winning seasons, 3 playoff appearances in 40 years. That is
How is that possible?
That is unbelievable.
Yeah,
and always picking at the top of the draft.
Yeah,
Where
you're getting a chance to get good players every year.
Yeah, right.
That's insane. Hey, Baldy, you're the best, buddy. Appreciate you. We always love these Mondays, man. We'll see you next
Appreciate
week.
it, man. Yep.
There he goes. Baldy's Breakdowns gear, by the way. Go get you some of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's Christmas time. Great gift for somebody out there. Hey, Buck, one more win, buddy. We need one more win. Get the Christian
How
High
about
Patriot
that?
State Championship here.
That's so crazy. And it's come. So where's your game? Is that
We are
Saturday?
playing in Buena Park High School is where they're going to play that game. Friday, 4 p.m., I believe, against the Fighting Hardy Nickersons. And Bishop O'Dowd, home of Elijah Vera Tucker, Javon Holland. They got a running back that's really good. So the Patriots got their hands full here, but it's been, man, you've been on it. It's so fun. And it's 16 games. This will be their 16th game, high school football.
As long look, they're going to be practicing during exam week, basically.
Yeah, we are. They have finals this week.
Yeah, like it is a fun ride. It's a long ride. It takes the stamina to be able to do it. But now that you're here, you want to get it done. You know what I'm saying? You want to find a way to get it done. So it should be fun. Hardy Nickerson squad, Odell, tough guys.
Yeah, that'll be a tough team. So looking forward to it again. High school football, there's nothing better. It's so fun. Been a fun fall. All right, that's going to do it for us. We appreciate you guys hanging. We'll see you tomorrow. Rhett's going to join us. New father of a baby girl going to join us to talk some college football tomorrow. So looking forward to that one. We'll see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.